Welcome to the channel. Today we explore one of history's most dramatic engineering failures. January 28, 1986. A nation watches as the Space Shuttle Challenger thunders into the Florida sky. But just 73 seconds into its flight, the dream of a new frontier is shattered in a plume of fire and smoke, leaving a stunned world asking one question: what went wrong? On a cold morning at the Kennedy Space Center, the Space Shuttle Challenger, mission STS-51L, began its ascent. On board were 7 astronauts, including Krista McAuliffe, the first teacher selected for spaceflight. For 73 seconds, the launch appeared perfect. Then, without warning, the vehicle was suddenly consumed in a massive fireball, disintegrating at 46,000 feet as a horrified nation watched live. At the heart of the space shuttle system were 2 massive solid rocket boosters, or SRBs. These powerful engines provided the primary thrust for liftoff. Each booster was not a single piece, but was assembled from 4 large segments. These segments were connected by what is known as a tang and clevis field joint. To contain the immense pressure and 5,000-degree gas of combustion, the joints were sealed by a pair of critical rubber rings, known simply as O-rings. The integrity of this seal was absolutely essential for a safe launch. The O-ring seal was a known vulnerability long before the Challenger disaster. NASA and its contractor, Morton Thiokol, were aware of a history of O-ring damage on previous shuttle flights. Engineers knew the rubber became less resilient in cold temperatures and could fail to seal properly. The night before the launch, with freezing temperatures forecast, Thiokol engineers voiced their grave concerns in a teleconference with NASA officials. They presented data showing the risk and formally recommended delaying the launch. That recommendation was overruled by management. The launch temperature was a frigid 36 degrees Fahrenheit. As feared, the cold had stiffened the O-rings in the aft field joint of the right solid rocket booster, and they failed to seal. Puffs of black smoke, visible just after liftoff, were the first sign of disaster. Hot gas escaping the joint. This leak grew into a continuous, torch-like plume of flame. The flame burned through the booster's steel casing and impinged directly on the adjacent external tank. The tank's structure failed, and the vehicle was torn apart by extreme aerodynamic forces. The destruction of Challenger resulted in the deaths of all 7 crew members. The crew cabin, though heavily damaged, remained largely intact as it separated from the orbiter and fell for nearly 3 minutes before impacting the ocean. An extensive search and salvage operation was immediately launched. Over the next several months, key components of the shuttle, including the failed right SRB and the crew compartment, were recovered from the sea floor. In the wake of the tragedy, the entire Space Shuttle program was grounded. The Presidential Commission, led by former Secretary of State William Rogers, concluded that the direct cause of the accident was the failure of the pressure seal in the aft field joint of the right solid rocket booster. But the investigation went deeper, uncovering systemic flaws within NASA itself. The Commission's report was a damning indictment of a flawed decision-making process. It found that NASA's management structure had allowed flight safety issues to be bypassed, and that the relentless pressure to meet an ambitious launch schedule had silenced the voices of concerned engineers. The Challenger disaster was a watershed moment for NASA. The Rogers Commission issued 9 recommendations, leading to a complete redesign of the SRB joint, which now included a 3rd O-ring and a dedicated heating system. Beyond the hardware, the disaster forced a profound cultural shift. The agency was restructured to strengthen safety oversight and create independent reporting channels, ensuring safety concerns could no longer be easily dismissed. The legacy of Challenger is a tragic but powerful lesson in engineering ethics and organizational responsibility. It serves as a permanent reminder that in high-risk endeavors, the pressure of schedules must never outweigh the imperative of safety. The voices of engineers, those closest to the technology, must be heard. The sacrifice of the 7 astronauts of STS-51L led to a safer, more robust space program, ensuring their mission would never be forgotten. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe for more engineering history.